Nedum, I was going to talk about United and Newcastle in the second segment. But then at 8:02, my phone pings a notification from Chelsea.
He's gone.
Graham Potter is gone. Now, obviously, they lost to Aston Villa at home 2-0, booed off the pitch. Not the first time this season they've been booed off the pitch. To me, my first reaction is he's got an issue. Chelsea have an issue with their timing for when they sack managers, right? Because they give Tuchel all this money to spend in the summer, right? Yeah. When it's just Bowley and Tuchel and they don't really know what's going on and Aubameyang, whatever. And then as soon as the window closes, a week after that, they sack him. And now here, look, if you thought Potter needed to be replaced, that Potter shouldn't be your manager next season, which I think was the most reasonable decision, presumably you didn't form that opinion based on 90 bad minutes against Aston Villa, right?
Yeah.
So why not sack him at the start of the international break before this? Or, as I think they probably should have done, keep him until the end of the season. Things aren't going to get any worse, and take that time to have a real manager search.
Do you think the ownership care about fans' feedback? Do you think that matters? So when I say feedback, I mean the aggressive nature and the boos as the players walk off the field. Do you think that matters or not?
So this is where it gets interesting, and I think this is pretty peculiar to Chelsea, right? Because we always talk Bowley this, Bowley that, right? Bowley does not own this club outright. He is one of a number of people, of rich people or people representing big funds who have a stake in this club. And he's the one who's most involved day to day, him and Iqbali. So he's the most visible. But Bowley doesn't make this decision on his own. Is it possible that some of the other guys maybe didn't quite realize how bad the fan reaction was? Is it possible they said, and this is a very American perspective, we got to worry about ticket sales, perception, blah, 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 keep your customers happy. They obviously don't want this guy. Why not, if we're going to sack him in the summer, why not just get rid of him now? So at least give the fans some hope. Yeah. We can change the narrative over the next 10 games. It becomes, who are we going to hire? Maybe they look in Champions League as well. Do we have a prayer with Potter against Real Madrid? Maybe some other guy comes in, beats his chest, and we pull it off. I'm trying to give them an out to try to understand why sack him now.
Yeah. I don't understand it either, to be honest. I think the team has been in this position for what feels like forever, where they've just been just about staying afloat in the Premier League, but then they still exist in the Champions League. And, 90% of people have written them off against Real. But it's football, you never know. I suppose in the grand scheme of things, you never know. And I was asking about the feedback from the fans, because, as you said, it's that American perspective potentially about the crowd not being happy, people not turning up to games and alike. And if that starts to happen, that draws a big reaction. But then also, in terms of the decision, is it really football people that are making the decision? Do they understand the significance of sacking somebody at the start of the international break versus now? The significance of maybe giving them till the end of the season? The significance of destabilising a team before a Champions League run? I'm not sure.
That's an interesting one. And again, if you wanted to be cynical about this, they're, as we know, Chelsea, like every other club, they like to do these briefings where, like, City are actually the worst at this, so no disrespect.
Listen, I'm not looking for that.
No, but they go out and they have a couple people and they say, hey, this is what's really happening. And then they tweet it or report it as fact, right? But it's really the club's version of events. And generally, they don't lie about it, but immediately you had, this decision was made by Chelsea's co-sporting directors, Lauren Stewart and Win Stanley, right? Which is fine. They're in charge. They should be making the football decision. But the speed at which everybody was briefed that these were the guys making the decision made me think that they are football people. Surely they would have seen the benefit of, surely they didn't change their mind about Potter based on those 90 minutes. Surely the football people would have seen this. Is it one of those, lady protests too much situations and actually it wasn't them?
I guess it's a PR move then, to show that the board do care about the plight of the football club. And the one result itself isn't necessarily the sole reason, but maybe it's the straw that broke the camel's back. And to lose at home again, to have not scored again, there's a real bad sort of feeling that exists there. And I think, speaking for some of the Chelsea fans that I know, they're at the point where they're almost expecting the worst. They're still going because there's that little bit of hope, but they're expecting the worst. And losing to Aston Villa and seeing them rise above you. Aston Villa were in the bottom three, I think, 2-3 months ago. So it's a big call. Maybe they've seen certain managers that are available somewhere in and around Europe potentially.
You're talking about Julian Nagelsmann there, the obvious one, and that's what people are talking about. He's a favorite. And obviously there's a strong Red Bull link there. Nagelsmann previously working with the Red Bull organization. The technical director, Christopher Vivell, is a former Red Bull guy, as is one of the co-sporting directors, Lawrence Stewart. He came over from Monaco, but before that, he also worked for the Red Bull organization. We're going to get into that a little bit more on the Gab Juls podcast.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.